it is time to dole out some of the worst of the worst. And by that, I mean it's time to give out penalties in this week's Penalty Box. Yep, that's right. It's that time where I give out the worst of the worst, starting with a 2-minute minor that actually doesn't go to any actual player, but instead goes to Mother Nature. For those of you who missed it on Sunday, the Vancouver Canucks didn't get to Calgary until 3:30 p.m. Mountain Time, 2.5 hours before they were supposed to face off against the Flames. What caused them to get there? What prevented them from getting there sooner? Sorry, I couldn't find my words there. 1 foot of snow fell on the ground in Calgary and made it extremely difficult for the Canucks to get from Vancouver to Calgary. What was worse for Vancouver is that they were on the second game of a back-to-back set, having won 5-2 against the Los Angeles Kings on Saturday night in Vancouver. They couldn't get a practice session in before yesterday's game because they were supposed to fly out to Calgary in the morning of the game, but obviously couldn't because of the foul conditions. The Canucks would end up losing to the Flames 4-2, looking fairly okay given the circumstances in the first 30 minutes of the game, but after that they were clearly out of gas. The 5-minute major goes to Dallas Stars forward Jamie Benn. Last Thursday, during a 5-1 blowout loss to the Oilers, Jamie Benn jumped onto the ice and delivered a brutal cross-check to Ryan Jones' lower back. Now, what prompted that? Well, just a few seconds before, Ryan Jones was crashing the net and bumped into Stars goaltender, who was playing in his first game back from a groin injury. While the bump didn't look intentional, Jones got called for goalie interference, and the ref's arm was up to signal delayed penalty. During the delayed penalty, Jamie Benn cross-checked Ryan Jones in retaliation, wiping out whatever power play the Stars would have gotten for Jones' bump on Kari Lehtinen. Benn got a 5-minute major and a game misconduct for the cross-check. Now, luckily for Jamie Benn, Brendan Shanahan felt his infraction only deserved a $10,000 fine and didn't suspend him. Now, Jamie, let me speak to you as a Stars fan. You're better than that, man. I can understand being frustrated in a miserable game as bad as that 5-1 loss was, but delivering a cheap shot to somebody out of frustration just made everything worse. It was really disappointing to see that happen, honestly. I'm not trying to talk down to you. I'm just expressing how I felt about that situation, and I'm pretty sure I'm not alone here when I say that. And finally, the game misconduct goes to 2 players, Philadelphia's Harry Zolnierczyk and Buffalo's Patrick Kaleta, who both received major penalties for illegal hits. On March 2nd, Harry Zolnierczyk received a charging major and game misconduct for jumping onto the ice for a line change and delivering a high hit to Ottawa Senators defenseman Matt London. However, Zolnierczyk's skates left the ice before the hit, which caused him to hit London in the head, which has become a major issue of concern for the National Hockey League since Matt Cook took out Mark Savard in 2010. London suffered a concussion on the hit, and Brendan Shanahan suspended Zolnierczyk for 4 games, the stiffest suspension that has been doled out this season. It should be noted that Zolnierczyk has no history of supplemental discipline aside from that hit, which goes to show just how severe Brendan Shanahan thought that hit was. While this didn't factor into the decision, Zolnierczyk also received a match penalty for a knee-on-knee hit on Washington Capitals forward Matthew Perreault earlier that week, but that match penalty was rescinded because Shanahan determined it wasn't a knee-on-knee hit. To be kicked out of 2 games in 1 week, however, is pretty remarkable and worthy of scorn. Now, during Sunday's game against the New York Rangers, Buffalo's Patrick Kaleta sent Rangers forward Brad Richards violently into the boards, causing him to hit head first into the boards. Richard was injured on the hit. He threw off his gloves and immediately clutched his head, but he was able to skate up under his own power. Buffalo was on the penalty kill when this happened, and Kaleta's hit put the Sabres down 2 men. Kaleta received a 5-minute major and a game misconduct for the hit. The Rangers scored 2 power play goals thanks to Kaleta's penalty to take a 2-1 lead, and until that point, the Rangers looked lifeless. The only saving grace for the Sabres is that they scored a shorthanded goal during that penalty kill to even the score at 2. So while the Sabres eventually lost in a shootout, Kaleta's penalty let the Rangers back into the game, and the Sabres, who have struggled all season, gave away valuable points. It was just not a smart move by Patrick Kaleta. He has a hearing with the NHL today. I haven't received word on what the suspension is. If there is one, it's a phone hearing. I do not have that information at this time because his hearing was at the beginning of my show, and I could not get it to you until, probably after this airs.